Well, welcome back everyone to Kitchen Table TCG. My name is Louie. I hope you're having yourself a fantastic day. Today we're going to be talking about the dragons from Uprising. We're going to talk a lot about financial value of things. We're going to focus in on that. We're going to take a look at what LSS has said about these Marvel cards and what we don't know everything, what we currently know about their pull rates and value potentially, and then we're going to compare them to the things that LSS compared them to help you understand what these cards might be worth this weekend on Uprising release weekend, or the preview thing, and then we have pre-release. So if you end up pulling one of these, what might you want to sell it for? What might you want to buy it for based on what LSS has compared these things to in the past? So it's going to be a fun video. Let's hop in. Again, this is just, this is all speculation. This is not financial advice. This is not my advice to you. This is using the data that we have garnished over this channel on the market updates to make some educated guesses at where the value of things might be. So let's hop in and take a look. So these are the dragons of legend. Pretty cool. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 of them, which makes sense. And this is cool. I like that they gave us this little dragon card. You know, you can use this as a placeholder in your deck, but you can also use this as a little check sheet to see if you have all the dragons. And right now we're going to focus on this, the big, shiny, fancy Marvel versions of these cards. And there are 12 of them, which is new. This is a brand new card type for Flesh and Blood. This is, you're going to get that little Marvel symbol down there. It's basically a full art card from Magic the Gathering. It'll be interesting to see where these go, and that's what we're going to talk about. So let's take a look. My favorite is Tamale. He's just got that burning ruptury fire. It'll be really, really interesting. What we don't fully know yet, and we'll talk about this at the end of the video, is are these just going to be cold foil? Unless they've said something somewhere that I haven't caught. They haven't announced, are these just going to be cold foil in the Marvel, or will there be a cold foil and a rainbow foil version of these cards? So for the purposes of this video, while we're talking about it, we're just going to assume that there is one version of these cards in the cold foil side of it, and not a rainbow foil version. So we'll kind of figure that out as we go, but we'll talk about a lot of the things. These are the cards we are talking about. The artwork is fantastic. They are the Marvel cards. They look beautiful. And there's lots of people talking about the gameplay side of this. We can chat about that some other time. But I just wanted to talk about the financial. Oh man, look at that! That reminds me of Aerodactyl from Pokemon. Anyway, all right, let's hop in. Let's get into the bulk of the video. That's kind of the warm up for you. Let's get into kind of the bulk of the video and chat about where things are. So basically, LSS came out in the Fab 2.0 article, and they said this: you will also see a new rarity symbol appear in Uprising, a purple triangle, half diamond, in reference to the fabled symbol. So maybe that means it's 1 in every 20 boxes. I don't know. We refer to these rarity of cards as Marvels, and it will be used on a high tier alt version of cards going forward. The frequency of each Marvel card varies. Some of them are equivalent to past alts such as Earthlore Bounty, and some are harder to find like Herald of Erudition or Aether Wildfire. All cards with the Marvel rarity symbol are much rarer than the normal foil version of their base rarity would be. So then they don't tell us anything. They don't really tell us what it is. So what we know is that they have compared them to Earthlore Bounty and harder to find like Herald of Erudition. Here's some other things we do know: that some of these regular cards are some of them are majestics and some of them are rares. So if you take a look at like Tamale is a majestic card, whereas Dominia is a, oh, that one is also majestic, but Azul, I can't pronounce these, Chromai, let's use Chromai, is a rare. So my guess is that it's kind of dependent on their rarity in the regular card, and that we will see the majestic ones be harder to pull than the other ones, much like what we've seen in Flesh and Blood earlier with these. If you take a look at Everfest, you've got the extended art rainbow foils, you've got rare rainbow foil extended arts, and then you have the majestic ones, and that makes sense because they did compare it to the majestic one in Aether Wildfire. But for the purposes of this video, we are going to take basically what they said and focus in on this idea that is going to be harder to find, like Herald of Erudition or Aether Wildfire. So we're going to take the absolute, what they are saying is the hardest part of the hardest part to find is going to be like Herald of Erudition or Aether Wildfire. So we're going to compare to those, and what we're going to do is compare the prices of the boxes on release, the card price at the time, and then the card price now and the percentage now, and we'll take a look at the the kind of where things should end up being. So let's pop way back towards Monarch. If you were not here, or if you have tried to block it out of your head, sealed boxes of Monarch were selling on release week, and kind of as pre-orders were going, and kind of the first time we saw a product at around $500 to $419. We'll use $500 because that's the date that we're going with. So they were around $500 for boxes at the time. On 5/3, the extended art rainbow foil of Herald of Erudition, again the card that we're going to be using, was selling for about $770. Release week, it was between $770 and $750. I particularly remember buying them at this price point, and I remember my friends buying them at this price point and being like, these are so hard to pull, they're going to be so expensive. Now, currently, booster boxes are sitting in the range of about $155 to $160 a box. Oh, you can barely see that. Sorry. Sitting in the range of $155 to $160 a box. Have I had this up the wrong time? Oh, well. And as a result, you've got the Majestic extended art here sitting around $180. So let's pull this up and let's show you that we've got $500 on release. Card price was $770. The percentage of that then is 154%. Boxes now are $155. The card now is $180, and the percentage to the box is 116%. All right, let's move over. Tales of Aria. Let's take a look at another card that appears to be similar rarity, and that's Channel Lake Frigid. They didn't specify this one, but this one I think is about the same pull rate. It's a hard card to pull. It had a lot of the excitement for it. This is kind of their idea, is like the extended art version is the way to go for this. So if you take a look at this, sealed boxes of Tales of Aria were selling for $150 upon release of the set, and on the same time at $920, let's see, extended art, your Channel Lake Frigid was selling for around $300. Now it quickly dipped down to the $145, but it did bounce back up to the $220 range. So for that, we'll just kind of use the price. And then it got down to $165 now is the price point, and sealed boxes are sitting at $80 now. That's the current value, around $75 to $80. So back to this, you've got $150 on release, $300 card price, 200%. You can maybe even wiggle this down a little bit. It's still, it doesn't change the point of the video, especially that the Tales of Aria, it's currently $165, which is still pretty high. Based on $80 box, that's 206%. All right, last one, and then we'll move on. Everfest was sitting at $82 a box on release week. It's still about the same price now, and then that the card that they used was Aether Wildfire, which started off at $73 on release week, but now it got up to the $130, and now it's sitting at about $122. So let's pull this up. This is all the data we have here. That means on average the boxes on release were $244. The average card price on release was $381, which was 156%, and the current price was average price of $105. The average card price is $155, and that percentage is 148%. So roughly 150% as a premium over the sealed box price is what we should be paying. So if we use the kind of 156, you could even change this. Well, let's do the average there, 152. That means that the price to pay for these cards, in my humble opinion, and again, this is not financial advice, the maximum price that I would be willing to say, hey, this is what you should pay, would be $121 per card. Now, there are differences. There are differences between this product and the other products that we are talking about. It is very important to talk about these differences because we have not seen Fab 2.0 actually partake. We haven't seen how the market responds to having this many rarities and this many different card types. It's a lot like Magic the Gathering now with their different, the vast majority of different products. You have, if you take a look at the even the image data, right? The Uprising card gallery, you have all these different versions of the card. And so we have not seen how our market will react to that. We've seen how the Magic market reacts to it, but we haven't seen how our market will react to it. So in this, it looks like you're going to get like a non-foil, a foil, and then the extended art, the Marvel. And this is the big question, and this is what I have. There's 12 of these, and this is the biggest thing. We haven't seen 12 different cards like this before, and we haven't seen them themed. These are all dragons. So what does that mean, and what does that do? There's two contrasting ideas in my mind, and I honestly don't know which one to give to you. I'd love to hear your comments in the comment section. Either the 12 will be this little subset of this collection that people want to collect all 12, and a lot of people will want to collect all 12. Or the other side of that, and that's probably where I fall, is like I look at this and I'm like, I want to collect all 12 of them. Or there's another subset where there being 12 of them means that when you pull one, you have to commit to, if you're going to collect, you have to commit to collecting all 12. And now instead of, holding on to a $120 card or $150 card or $180 card, now you're making the decision, do I continue to collect all of them? And then if you add that in, 12, if you multiply that out, you're looking at over $1,000 that is going to take you. It's going to cost you almost $1,500 to collect all 12 of these cards. And will that high value partake people to say, no, I'm not going to keep this card. I'm going to actually just sell it and get the $120 for it because I'm not going to be able to afford to collect all 12 dragons and I don't play Illusionist. And so there's two contrasting ideas in my mind. I gravitate towards I'm going to collect all 12, but I don't know where the whole community is. I don't know where the larger Flesh and Blood community. I am not the larger Flesh and Blood community. I think I am more of the collector and the investor side of this. And so it makes me question exactly what people are going to do. The other thing is that they are illusionists, and so the gameplay side of this is only going to focus on the illusionists. All these things are Draconic Illusionist cards. So if you are not playing the Draconic Illusionist and you are just a player, and if this is really a player's market, you don't care about these cards. They're not going to do anything for you, and you're not going to want them. And what will that do to the value of the cards? We've seen similar things to this. We've seen not exactly, I know they're different, but in Tales of Aria we had these pulses, and these were from different classes. This wasn't the same class, but these were from different classes, and when they didn't see gameplay, they dropped tremendously in value. They started off pretty high. There were some people buying them really high. That was release week, so it doesn't really count. But then they dropped in price, and there's been some buyouts on them. But at the end of the day, they are sitting at the $60 to $50 price range for the cold foil version. So definitely an interesting topic. They are just illusionists. What is that going to do for those who don't play Draconic Illusionists? Now, the biggest question I have that I don't think I've seen an answer for, maybe I just haven't seen it. Let me know in the comments if I should have. But are there rainbow foil and cold foil versions of these Marvels? If that's the case, then the cold foil versions are probably significant, worth more than this price to pay right here. If the average pull rate is going to multiply by 4 or 10 to get the cold foil version, and those are going to be incredibly rare, then this price point is probably, I would say, half it for the rainbow foil version, and probably multiply it by at least 4 to 5 if there's a cold foil version. That would be my gut, just off the top of my head. Again, not financial advice, but if there are rainbow foil and cold foil versions, that's going to bring this weird side to the market of different flashy cards to collect in a lot of variants, and there's going to be a lot of confusion from people who aren't familiar with cold foils. So Last question I have on this product as a whole, and this applies to everything, not just these Marvel cards, but also to the Fable and the Cold Foil. And we've seen them talk a little bit about the Uprising, the pull rate. Obviously, they are going to change things a little bit. It's going to be, the pulling of the legendary Cold Foil is now 1 in every 220 packs. Rainbow Foil is going to be easier. Fable Cold Foil, we don't know. Rainbow Foil is going to be easier, so we don't know exactly what this is going to be. Now, they didn't specify that it was going to be harder to pull majestic Cold Foils, and these are, again, majestic Cold Foils, technically. So, the question for me is how much will they reprint these things, and how does their reprint policy affect? Expand to include all Cold Foils and all future standalone booster boxes. For example, Cold Foils that appear in Uprising will only ever appear in Uprising. And so here's the question I have. How much will they reprint Uprising, and for what time period? In the past, first edition has been first edition. We knew that it was gone, even though it was still at distribution and all those things that happened with Monarch. But what will happen now with Uprising if they sell out of all the boxes at distribution in 6 months? Will we get more boxes of Uprising that have, presumably they will be the same boxes, they won't be unlimited. So will they have Cold Foils in them? Will we see another restock of Cold Foils? These are the types of things I don't understand how they are changing, and I would love some more transparency just to understand exactly what is going to happen before everybody dumps their money into Cold Foils and buys boxes, and then all of a sudden we get another wave in 3 months, like a Pokemon release, right? You get the first wave, people buy the boxes, everything goes up, and then you get another wave, and it dips the prices, and then people get it. It's just going to be really interesting to see what happens with the restocks of this product and how that will affect the ecosystem of Flesh and Blood, because we haven't seen it done this way in the past. So that being said, find out next time on Fab Market. We will be tracking the prices of everything Uprising moving forward. Hope you guys have yourself a fantastic day. If you like videos like this where we dive into the market and dive into potentially what things should be worth in Flesh and Blood, other card games, hit subscribe, follow along on the channel. If you want access to all this data, patrons, if you want to do this and kind of work these numbers with the collection tracker and with the current market prices and old market prices, all this data is available as a $15 patron in that Patreon. So the collection tracker is only $5, but if you want the kind of actual data, you can always hop into that. Anyway, hope you guys have yourself a fantastic day. Be kind to the people around you. We'll see you again next video.